All right, man. So what's going on, brother?
Man, hey, just staying busy, man. Got my feet to the pavement, man, trying to do a little few things.
Tell me a little bit about like your story. And first of all, before I get into it, everyone, I got what do you want to go by? Because some people don't want to use their full name or their name on
Justin.
We just go Justin. Okay. Yeah. So right now I got Justin with me. He's a really good friend, somebody who I've known for a while. Yes. He does a lot of different things. So I just want him to kind of, at least before we get into some of these questions regarding men's advocacy, rather you get to know him. So Justin, I'll let you go ahead and take the floor. Go right ahead, man. What's up with you?
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Well, my name is Justin. I was born and raised here in Fort Wayne. Basically, at a young age, I had both of my parents in my life, which was a good thing. My father was there and a strong man, and but circumstances, got bullied a lot as a young man, turned to alcoholism, turned to gangs, lived quite a rough life for a very long time, until May 9th, 2010, man, heard a voice say, if you do not stop, you will die.
Right.
And I changed my life around and came sober. So now, to give back, because it's the second gift that I got, I try to help people in my community and especially in the recovery community. I just didn't want to give back to my community. I was such I'm going to keep it real, I was such a cancer within our community for so long. I now want to become part of the solution to some of the things that are going on in there.
Okay, so let me ask, like, what was that point? 'Cause you just said, like, you came through a journey of, like, sobriety.
Yeah.
What was the point where you kind of realized? Because I think that's important, because a lot of people out there who struggle with that, I have myself. But what was the point where you said, man, I need to turn this around? Like, was it a specific incident, or was it just like an epiphany?
No, it was an epiphany. It was literally May 9th, 2010. I was living with my sister because I was homeless.
Okay.
It was Mother's Day. It was a Sunday morning. And when I heard that voice, I said, man, I called my mom. I said, I think I need help. And I had no clue of how to get that help.
Right.
So I went and I turned myself into PBH. And I stayed in PBH for 4 or 5 days until they were like, well, you don't have insurance, so now it's time for you to go. Okay. with no guidance or anything like that. But luckily, we Googled and found a sober living home, and so I moved into that sober living home. And a few days later, and that was when I started becoming around recovery and started reaching out and asking for the help. The help seemed to then find me.
Okay.
And so I continued to just latch on, like my life depended on it.
Okay. So I'm gonna take a quick pause.
Yeah,
everything's good. You're totally fine. Yeah. What I want to do is, because everything can be edited, or it's a drink holder. It's okay. I just know all you can see.
I like it like this,
right?
When you can stop, edit, you know what I mean,
right,
and all that stuff, and just take your breath, and even catch up. And say, hey, so we're on this path,
right?
Let's maneuver like this.
Yeah, I like it a lot better than like I've done some podcasts with some people before, and for some reason, they take a while to come out. So some of that stuff probably is still in the works. Right. But like I had to sit there and I was like, okay, you get one shot at it or you get 2 shots at it and that's it. And I'm like, do I get to hear what I said or, I want to make sure that I'm good now because, the tongue is a fire for real.
Is.
And you don't want to get in a situation where you say the wrong thing on accident. That's so easy to say.
It is.
Segueing that into like men's advocacy.
Yeah.
It's cancel culture.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge scary thing for guys, man. I mean, we see a lot of men who, sure, it's a lot of guys who do things that's messed up.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of guys who make just simple mistakes and they got to live with that mistake for a long time. I mean,
100%.
And with cancel culture, there's no comebacks from that. Yeah. I got a theory that, and I could be wrong about this, but I got a theory that people almost use certain things, certain points like within cancel culture purposefully to box you out, right? There's a way for you to come back from making a mistake, right? Everywhere else in society it is, even prison.
Right.
With cancel culture, right? Yeah, even with cancel culture, it's like a way to totally box out your career, your opportunities.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just my theory on it.
And it's like, because I'm one of those. I grew up in the 90s. I grew up the way I did, and I can take punches. I can take, you know what I'm saying. And you do have to kind of maneuver nowadays of how you talk to be more. I'm trying to be more sensitive to people's feelings.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But in the same breath, you're right. Some people use it as a weapon. As a weapon.
So I got some questions for you, right? We're talking about men's advocacy. Right. I think it's very important for a number of reasons. I don't think a lot of us guys get, the credit we deserve for the things that we do. No. So I feel like a lot of the things that we suffer from, such as depression and suicide rates and addiction, lack of success a lot of times is a product of the fact that we don't have a voice, right? So I think it's important. But I have a question for you. Okay, so what's the biggest misconception you think people have about men's rights? And be honest, how much of it is the movement's own fault?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that our rights are minimal. That we've already, like, we're at the top of the food chain, right? That all of our rights are already established and taken care of, and that they're minuscule compared to everyone else's rights. You know what I mean? And as a part of the movement, I think here's where I think part of the problem with the movement is that the loudest, most flamboyant, most controversial people are the ones that get seen.
Yes.
Right? So they're the ones that are spewing whatever, that get the most attention because they're attractive to entertainment. This is an entertainment society.
Right.
No matter what it is. It's an entertainment society. So if you see somebody that's controversial, that's saying things that are stirring up the pot, that's what people are focusing on. And they're not necessarily focusing on the aspect of, hey, we're over here suffering, and there's people that are talking about it, but they're not getting looked at because of the people that are the flashy ones and stuff like that.
Right. And I think that's a really good point for a number of reasons. When you talk about the guys who are just like outright doing this for entertainment purposes, right?
Yes.
Which we all are, right? We all online doing something for entertainment value, but controversial entertainment is different. It's so magnetic, and it's only meant to give you more viewers. I look at a lot of the different men's advocates that are online, and it's a few that stand out because I think that they're doing it the right way, and they always have. Per se, one who has always been in the shadows that a lot of people know nothing about, and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Matter of fact, in some spaces, he's vilified for some of the controversial things that he said. But granted, he said those controversial things before the dawn of male advocacy online, and how you could just explode and say the wildest things about women and be disgusting and vile. Right. He was actually saying things that he thought was actually a part of the real problem here. And his name was Paul Elam. I mentioned him in his podcast. His name is Paul Elam, and he runs a channel called An Ear for Men. This channel has been out for like years, right? It's been out probably since 2009, 2008. Okay. I mean, he's been all over the world. You ever heard the Red Pill movement? He's the father. Okay. So when you see these guys online, right? And the thing that I don't like about that is, like, I like to pay homage to people, right? Right. And whenever I see, like, even like the Kevin Samuel and all these other people out there, God rest his soul, Kevin Samuel, he's a nice dude. Yeah. But I know, like, where it comes from. So when I listen to the newer people, it's like I'm reading the Bible in the future after they changed it another time. Right. I know it's a core Bible, right? I know it came from something. So I like to go right to the source. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And the source for me has always been Paul Elam, and Ear for Men.
Okay.
He started off as a marriage counselor, and he started seeing the difference that was the indifference while he was inside of these settings.
Right.
And he noticed that a lot of men were getting like railroaded.
Yeah.
And it took it into child support. It took it into lost wages. It took it into depression. And he said, man, what can we do about this? And he actually was a psychologist as well, I believe. And what he ended up doing was starting that channel, and it's been crazy successful. Wow. He's been on ABC News. Okay. He's got some really incredible work out there. And some of it is very controversial. I mean, I can't lie. Yeah. But when the father of controversy says something, it hits a little bit different than people just trying to get viewers.
Right.
And a lot of his stories are only 15-minute long segments, so it's not hard to digest. Yeah. And, it's just, I would check it out if I was you. Matter of fact, I would tell any of you men's rights activists or men's rights people who enjoy this type of content, I would say go to An Ear for Men and check it out. Absolutely incredible stuff. Kudos to Paul Elam. Yeah. But I promise you, you won't be unhappy when it's over with. Right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about calling out that misogyny, right? Yeah. Since we talking about it, right? Yeah. Men can be misogynistic. Oh yeah. See, I like to live in a space where we live black and white. We don't have to be always white or always black. Right. So I feel like it's a gray area, and sometimes we get in that space, sometimes we get out of it, right?
We do.
It's human.
It is human. It is human. But it's kind of one of those things as a married man and dealing with, sisters. I grew up with sisters like that. And a father who taught me, to respect women. One of the things that we do as men have to start calling out the BS, men, being misogynistic. That because then we're teaching the younger generation, which the younger generation is glued to podcasts, they're glued to YouTube, they're glued so they're seeing these things. This is what's teaching them today. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Yes and no. You know what I mean? We have to call it out. And for me, that's where my advocacy comes from, is just in any type of thing that I do. When it comes to recovery, so I'm in the recovery field. If I see something that I feel that is harming, I'm calling it out. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I feel like it's doing myself and my community injustice, if not. For example, and this be might be a little conversation left field.
Yeah, but it's okay.
With the police,
we got edits.
Right. I mean, I kind of look at it like with the police force, right? We have especially here, phenomenal police officers, right? I know some personally, this and that. Okay. Growing up, and people are like, wait, the police? Yes, we need it. But the thing is, for the bad police, if those good police don't call out those bad ones that know they're doing bad and they know they're doing harm, they're doing just as much harm in the system as the bad ones. So the people, the misogynists that are doing harm into our young sisters and now teaching our young brothers, you got to call it out, because if you sit back and watch it, you're just doing as much harm.
I can't stand in a place of judgment. I
got you.
Because it's an easy thing to point out when you got somebody who is saying something off the wall, right? Right. Sometimes it's better to just disregard it and move on with it. Like for all the stuff that Trump says, that's perfect. Misogynistic, misogynist, crazy BS. When you give it, and I think that's the problem with viewers. It's not that these viewers are all on these podcasts and they're loving what they're hearing. Right. I think it's just controversial. They want to hear it for themselves, which is why I believe that a lot of people, when talking about Donald Trump, especially with the big win he just had yesterday, right? We did that because every time he said something, we ran to him. Every time he said something, liberals ran to him and they were like, look what he said. I'm going to put it on my show. Everybody does the same thing on YouTube.
That's what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? You take this crazy snippet from Kevin Samuels having a bad moment, right, of many,
Right.
And then you take it and you say, I'm going to mix it and put it on my channel. And then I'm going to put it on Facebook. I'm going to grow his platform for him. Okay. So I'll look at a podcast and I'll say like, oh, okay, cool. And then for the most part, if it's too much stuff on there, I just stop listening to it.
Right.
I think people refer to like Charleston White, right? They look at his stuff and they like, he's incredible, but he says great things, but, and that's the sucky part, that you got to get through all of that stuff.
And the brother makes some really good points. It's just how he sometimes delivers those points.
A good point about men's advocacy online that I think a lot of people should think about is if you want people to absorb the information, delivery is probably the most important aspect of, you accomplishing that goal. I don't see a lot of people who are getting these viewers. Okay, you got the viewers. You got 1 million viewers. You said some crazy stuff. Shave that fat off.
Yes.
And let's start talking about serious stuff now, because you have viewers and people now, you're the Pied Piper. People hear you now.
Yes.
Every time you play, people hear you.
I get it. It's right. You got to, somehow you have to get the ear first.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the quiet person. You're not going to get the ear. So how do you do it? You either have that charisma that people are just going to be attracted to, or you're going to have that shock value. Are people going to come? But it's like you said, though, now that you have their attention, now that you've achieved what you want to do, how are you going to present yourself now? How are you going to present it's kind of like you're in a courtroom. How are you going to plead your case and get somebody to believe your side of the story without necessarily having to be so controversial or so outlandish? I saw, and this poor brother, and you can just tell. No, and it's kind of sad. Orlando Brown. Now, his interviews lately have been wild and crazy. Because a lot of what he's telling is, I think he's telling the truth. But I saw an interview yesterday where he was just sitting there talking like me and you, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And he said something. He paid me the money to have a good conversation. He didn't pay me the money to act out like a donkey. But if you want that, I can do that.
I agree. I do still think he's bipolar. This dude,
it's a mental, and he's been through some stuff.
He's been through a lot. He's been through Hollywood. How can you not be? And I think that's really, when you think about it, he's been through some horrible things, and it shows by the way that he behaves. And I get it. Right. I do.
Well, see, that's kind of like for men. A lot of times when we act out, it's because when we've been through some trauma, and we have not dealt with that trauma.
And we don't have a voice. When I got bullied, now my parents, this was the 90s. My parents were very loving, very kind. They listened, but they worked like 3 jobs back then. You know what I mean? And I told them, and I was getting bullied and this, and they tried everything. So my voice didn't get heard. So I put my voice down, and it's kind of like what Tupac said. I grew up, I got built my anger up inside, and I just became a monster. And so then I started acting out. I started drinking. I started getting violent. I said, I'm already getting beat up. And it ain't what else I got to lose?
You know what I'm saying? These butt whippings, it hurts, but I survived. So I started getting more violent. I started acting out. And I started being irrational.
Right.
Because my voice wasn't heard.
Let me ask you this, okay? Let's be real. Are there valid issues men face that society genuinely ignores? Do you think a lot of this is just exaggeration and noise?
No, they ignore it. They ignore men's mental health. They ignore that we can't, they feel like we can't go through something. Like we can't have a bad day because we're men. But we have to, this right here is what we have to start doing. Man.
So it sounds like you got a kaleidoscope of men's advocacy issues.
Yes.
I'm looking at your brain in a way like it just channels. Like you can just pull them out the thin air, which is cool. Yeah. A skill set that I don't have.
Right. Well, but it's kind of like squirrel. Yeah. It's like you gotta bring me in sometimes.
You've been doing this a long time. I can tell.
Yeah.
But what if it was one like men's advocacy issue? One that you felt very strongly about, one that you felt that was very pivotal to making change. What would it be? What's the issue?
Dealing with that's mental health.
It's real in every sector where men are at. And I just want to point that out. I got to speak for all men.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Anthony Bourdain. Remember him?
Yes.
You could, man, it's so many men.
Yes.
Robin
Williams. Man.
Right? Legends. And let's not talk about, which I really feel like is slow suicide, addiction.
100%.
And we all, I think as men, it's become so ingrained in our culture through movies and television. It's nothing to pick up a cigarette. It's nothing to pick up a drink. It's nothing to pick up some dope. Right. I think it's kind of so ingrained. I think we almost are okay with it. Which is weird, but we are. Let's be honest. We traumatize 100%. Ourselves all the time.
And when you go to the cookout and Uncle Ray and all that, he's gonna be drunk and this and that.
Yep.
We think that's just Uncle Ray being Uncle Ray.
Uncle Ray is hurting.
And he's hurt.
It's the big family secret.
And that's just him being him.
That's another aspect, the way family views men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're kind of like just these things that go out and get stuff and come back. And then when we get back, they tell us to do other things.
Right.
And then, we say we tired. They say, no, let's go do some things, other things. We're like, wow, how many things can I do? When can I just sit down? When can I sit down and watch a football game?
Right.
And not be bothered?
And we're keeping it real. I've been blessed with my wife.
Same here.
My wife understands.
Ain't that
Sunday?
Uh-oh.
She's going up into her room. She's going up into her space because she knows my game zone. And she knows that's my time.
So you ain't got no man cave in the house. You got that whole cave. The
whole
house is a cave.
Yeah. She understands that I take on people's mental health all day long. Mm-hmm. And when I come home, I don't want to hear, well, what about the dishes?
What about me?
What about me? No, she understands.
Yep.
And that's a rarity. Because I look at some of my friends, I'm like, how do y'all do it?
I have a full metal jacket. A full metal jacket of men. I was walking through Menards. No, true story. 3 weeks ago, I'm walking through Menards. A brother of mine who I've been known for a long time walked up to me and we had a quick conversation and it turned into me standing there for an hour plus in Menards. Me and him, we had a men's advocacy session. I'm talking about, but I could tell he wanted to get a lot off of his chest. I mean, literally, we had church in Menards.
Right.
And but for me personally, that's an incredible thing because women already have that. And that's our fault. Yeah. You know how many times? Yeah. You know how many times I ask my buddies, like, man, y'all want to go bowl? Y'all want to go golf? Y'all want to play video game? Mm-hmm. Y'all want to do a cookout? Y'all want to go do this? Y'all want to go do that? Y'all want to go out of town?
Right.
And it's like, you always got to wait on something.
Yeah.
And especially the fellas who are married.
Yeah.
Or let's not even say that because a lot of times the marriages, women are like, yeah, get out of here. I love you, babe. Bye. Get out of here, right? Yeah. But a lot of times the fellas who are just holding on to this broken, busted relationship. And I'm like, hey, you want to go do something? I can't, man. And I already know.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I know when y'all going through something.
Yeah.
Because here comes the flood. Hey, let's go do this. You still doing this? Man, that was 3 weeks ago. That was 3 weeks ago. You should have got me. Right. I'm already past that. I'm with my wife today.
Yeah.
But it's sad because there's just a lot of us who are stuck in some very weird positions.
Yeah.
A weird, strange position
as
men.
Now, I will say this, and I call it controversial. Mm-hmm. Men are leaders of the home.
No, we are. We got to be.
Right?
We get up at night and check the doors.
Oh, yes.
But
here's the thing. Here's what a good leader knows how to do. Maneuver.
Well,
right?
You know what? You have to grow into it.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you grow into it
takes time.
The only way you grow into it is by going through some problems.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not staying with the problem.
Yeah.
Notice I said going through a problem.
Yeah.
You actually have to get done with the problem to grow from it. And I think a lot of us, because we have as men, we're so attached to mom growing up, or we're so attached to, some ideals or concepts. We don't know how to let go of a bad thing.
Right.
I got this theory, and some of it is a blend of what the guy I talked about earlier, Paul, right?
Yeah.
I got this theory, though, is that when you start a relationship off, or when you are becoming invested in one, that you need to assert your boundaries as men, as a man. And if you don't, you empower the BS that's coming to you eventually. Because, and you find out that at the core root of it is your fear of being alone.
Right. You
found the one. You've already, how many of you fellas out there, as soon as you meet a chick, you got 30 seconds with her and you already had a whole life. Y'all done been married. Y'all had kids. You
done met the family.
You got Boys and Men. You got a whole Boys and Men soundtrack playing while you're watching this movie in 30 seconds, right? Yeah. So you get that girl, right? You go up to her, you get her number, everything's going smooth, you take it in, and then boom, next thing you know, you can never say no, because you fear that if you say no, you're going to lose this thing that you've invested so much in when you've only got 3 days together.
Right.
So I think we need to get, as men, and I'm not saying this isn't the women's fault, and that's what I'm saying. Right. I think it's our fault.
Yeah.
Because men are respected when they assert their boundaries.
You can't just be that yeser when you first meet a woman just because you're trying to get her. Right. You have to let her know who you are, because guess what? If you change in another 6 months and try to say then, oh, this is what I am now, and you've been this whole different person, that's going to unravel. Mm-hmm. And it's going to put a kink in the relationship, and which is going to make it harder. I have to have a woman that believes. Right. Now, you don't have to, I'm the one that prays over the table and this and that. But there's certain things that I just have to have in my life. Football. Football is my life. Sunday, I'm watching my game.
Call of Duty. Yeah, I love it. I cannot get away from it.
There you go.
I've been playing this for
my God,
20 plus years now.
I love Call of Duty.
The coolest thing, though, is my wife is like, anytime I'm ready to turn on, or anytime she got something to do, she like, go play Call of Duty.
Right.
I'm like, cool. It's great to have a great woman.
It is. But we also, so Friday and Saturday nights, if we're in town, we have our show that we watch together.
There you go. Ours is From.
Oh, man. Ours is actually OP Nation.
Okay. Have you seen From?
But I just watched the last episode today.
Wow. Yeah. That's it. It's a masterpiece.
That's a masterpiece.
It's a cheap masterpiece.
It is. And I love what's his name from Oz. I can never remember his name.
The sheriff.
Yeah. Man.
I like when he dropped those F-bombs. That's all. Yeah. Every show he got to yell that out once or twice, man. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
That's one of my top shows.
It is, that's man. One of my top,
but we have that. We have that. It's weird. And I look at relationships with my friends, and it's like they don't like each other.
They don't.
It's like they don't. What? Why? Why are you in this relationship?
Because you're stuck in a deadbeat relationship because you have abandonment issues.
Well, my dad was married to my mom for years and years and years. When they got divorced, and it was just so hard. I mean, it was so hard seeing him just trying to find what they had. Right. You know what I mean? It's that, like you said, it's that fear of just being alone and this and that. And for her, it's kind of, my mom, it was like, oh, it is what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, fear is a powerful thing.
It is.
It's a powerful thing.
It is. It controls every aspect of, really, it's the reason why we have so many problems. It's we really do have a lot of fears as men, and we don't speak about them. We don't talk about them. We let them bubble up. We let them build up. We have these issues. We don't go to therapy.
No.
We don't talk to our pastors.
Say that again, man.
Yeah, I mean,
all that.
But, hey, for the majority of our existence, there was no therapy.
Yeah.
And we just had to cope the way we had to cope.
Right.
But now it's a lot of opportunities to get support, a lot of opportunities to get help. And I just, with that being said, I mean, I encourage any man out there who is struggling, any woman, anyone who's struggling, go and get some help. Yeah. And at best, if you can't afford the help, go talk to somebody. Talking is cheap. Talking is free.
And we talk about social media, man. You have to, I think, find the right one. But there's one out there. There's some kind of Facebook group, some kind of chat room where you can go and get that help just to talk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just reaching out. And that was our problem for a long time as men, is we were too strong and we're too proud.
Too proud.
To go get that help. My life, and the people look at me crazy. I said the best thing I ever was an alcoholic. They said, what? Why would you say that? I said it because it took me to a place to where I can now get the help that I need and now know how to deal with my problems. A lot of people don't have that. I have a AA meeting if I need to. I have a sponsor who I can call. I have a group that I can go sit and talk to when I'm going through something. We have that community, you know? And so it was the best thing that happened to me because that's where I found me.
Well, you know, that's a lot. I think you just said a lot. A lot. Yeah. You gave a lot of advice.
Yeah.
You gave a lot of advice. We might not even need as many male online advocates if we listen to the people who care about us. Right. Obviously, you've been through a lot and you are sharing a lot with a lot of men, and they'll be able to use what you shared today and actually bring it into their lives. And I hope that they got a lot from this show today. Yeah. I really appreciate you being on the show, man. It's been incredible.
This was amazing.
I'm glad.
Hopefully you won't see my faces. I hope this ain't the last time you see my face.
Pray the audio is just crisp. Right?
It looks flipped.
I've done it a few times before, and it sucks to have to call somebody back like, hey, bro, I'll just pay for your dinner or something. I need you back.
Look, I hope the audio works, but look, anytime.
At best, this has been therapeutic for both of us.
This has been enjoyable.
Right?
It really has.
And that's what it's about, man. That's what Club Geneva is about. It's about being fun. It's about being open. It's about having some really cool moments online where you don't have to fear online retribution. Right. You can get in this space and you can, within reason, share how you feel. And the thing that I want people to realize is you can respond to that as long as we are having a meaningful conversation, something that we can find solutions, or we can agree to disagree, and we can both walk away feeling like we've got our points across. I think that's cool. So thank you all for being a part of Club Geneva. I hope you enjoy this robust conversation that me and my good friend Justin has had. Justin, I'll let you take it away, man. Any last comments?
Yeah, I do. If you are struggling with addiction or if you need to talk, you can always reach out to me to justin.c.road and then the number 2 recovery@gmail.com. Email me anytime. We'll try to help you find the right path for you. And if you just need to bend an ear, don't hesitate to email me.
That's a wrap, man.
Thank you.
And of course, you can always reach out to us at clb.geneva@gmail.com. But I want you all to have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Take care.